is Joseph Oakley of Stokely Films. I'm the co-writer, the director, and the creator of the new slasher sensation Specimen 6, which will be out on DVD and digital here in just the next few short weeks. Boy, are we so close to getting that movie out to you folks. It's been such a long, crazy ride. I got to go away this weekend and kind of do some stuff, some personal family stuff, but next weekend, Mariana Chipoletta, my beautiful import from the boot over there in the European areas and all that stuff. She's going to be in the film, and we just got to do a little bit of shooting there, and then we're going to have it all done. Okay, there's my little introduction for you. And Mariana Chipoletta, my delightfully titularly, stunningly vivacious co-host. What podcast is this?
Yeah, Joe, I have to say before I go into that, you seem to always stumble on the word titular.
I do, because you know what pops up in my brain, right?
Is titties?
Maybe.
Are you sure it's not?
I mean, I would like to be a more sophisticated, cultural, debonair sort of individual.
Eloquent speaker.
But when it really comes down to it, I like boobs. So yeah, so I say titular, and then I'm like, bam, 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 and then my head comes out.
Well, I'm Mariana, and I am the content creator for Heavy Metal Metalada, and this is No Country for Joe and Mariana. And today we just have some news for you, and we're just going to go over some stuff that we're excited to see come out, and we just want to talk about it with you guys because we're so excited. Joe.
Yes.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about the news, because there's so much cool stuff. What I do a lot on like my lunch breaks at work and everything like that is I'll go onto the computer and I'll check like Joe Blow movies. They got Arrow in the Head. That's kind of part of that. They do horror news. I'm always checking iHorror. I'm checking Bloody Disgusting. I'm always looking to see what's new. And during this whole shutdown and all that stuff, even through all of this stuff, it's persisted that we've had some really cool horror news and things to look forward to because of all the different streaming services and things of that nature. And so more and more streaming services come out. And so the first thing that I always go look for on the new streaming service, whichever it may be, is like, what do they offer as far as horror movies go? Because there's thousands of horror movies and everybody's got like Netflix. They have some cool originals. They have some cool ones that pop up and down here and there. Hulu has some really cool things going on there. Like their Blumhouse has a lot of original films that they release directly to Hulu, and I watched a couple of those. Really enjoyed them. And so NBC Universal has released Peacock recently in the last couple of days. Now, it's not getting the greatest reviews per se, but I don't really care about interface and things of that nature so much as like what movies are on there, is it worth my time? And so I went to since it's Universal, I went to the horror, and they have dozens of the classic Universal horror films. They got Frankenstein, Dracula, The Invisible Man, all those sequels, The House of Dracula, House of Frankenstein, The Creature of the Black Lagoon. They got all the good ones. And so I'm really, really excited about that. But even further down the line, I noticed that they got the original Blair Witch and Blair Witch 2. Now, I own them on DVD, but it's always fun to see that, they're on these streaming services. So, a lot more people are going to be able to view them and enjoy them in different ways. And have you seen Blair Witch, Mariana?
I have not.
Oh, my goodness. So it came out in 1999, and it was a very kind of big thing back then. Now, there's mixed reviews, and I was just talking to a couple friends the other night that actually hated the film, but they, I think, had a different experience than I did. They were older than me at the time that they saw the film, and I think I was like 16, 17, something like that, when I saw the film, and I went and I saw it in the movie theater, and I had bought into the hype. At the time, the internet was not such an old thing as you may not really believe. But in 99, I didn't really go on the internet that much. And so, but once in a while I would pop on my friends, and I discovered the Blair Witch website. And what happened before the movie came out was there's this website that came out, and it talked about the history of the Blair Witch and the Burkittsville, and how these filmmakers had disappeared, and they presented it as being a real thing. And there was no indication as that it wasn't, because they actually had the actors in the film sign these non-disclosure agreements that they wouldn't appear or show up in anything for like a year, in between it coming out and yada yada. So people were buying into the hype. And before that website even came out, all these VHSs of bootlegs of Blair Witch were kind of coming out, or at least like trailers or little bits and pieces, and people were handing out these VHSs. So everybody was like, oh my God, is this thing a real thing? So when I walked into the theater, I was buying into the whole thing that, oh, maybe this is a real thing. So you watch the Blair Witch, and a lot of people hate the shaky cam, and they think it's kind of boring. But at the time, I was riveted. I was looking at every single second of the film, because I was like, there's got to be some element of truth. And so you look behind me right here. This is actually from the Amityville Haunting. And so this picture was taken just a couple weeks on a Halloween night, I think, by some haunted supernatural investigators who had shown up after the family had ran away, and then people were investigating, saying, is there something wrong? Well, this picture showed up. So I was looking for that element of truth in the Blair Witch. And I really enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought there was a great scary part at the end. And so they also have Blair Witch 2 on there, and I would have to say the Blair Witch is probably one of my favorite like theatrical experiences. So yes, that is very big news. I think right now is Peacock has some very, very cool, very interesting horror films. Mariana.
Yes. See, Joe.
What do you got for me?
Well, I found out today. I also love to go check out like all kinds of sources, but Bloody Disgusting is probably like my number one source for a quick update on what's going on. And today I found out that there is a Chucky TV series. Now, as you remember, I'm not a fan of dolls, but Chucky is my favorite doll. And don't you
Hello, Mariana.
Nope.
How are you, Mariana?
Not great now.
Can I come visit you, Mariana?
Oh, you already did. I remember that day. Oh, goodness.
She likes you. Okay, yes.
She hides from me when I come over.
No, she's a scamp.
I know. She likes to play hide and seek.
Yeah.
So fun.
Child's Play, the TV series.
Yeah, it's a TV series. It's going to be on USA and on Sci-Fi in 2021. You know, Don Mancini and Nick Antosca worked on this coming out. Hopefully next year. You know, hopefully it doesn't get pushed. And it just brings a whole new level to the Child's Play franchise, right? Like you get more of like a character profile of Chucky, kind of like he was a real boy and now he's like, you know, his origin story. Like we're getting a little bit more of that. And there's talk of new characters, but also characters coming back. Like Jennifer Tilly, it has been rumored to be coming back to do this series. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to see the direction that they take it. You know, in the format that it's been done in the past is a movie. In this format, there's just so much possibility. You know, the possibilities are endless, and I think we're going to get a lot more insight into that realm and into that world.
I'm really excited for that too. I've only heard rumblings over the last few years about the TV series, but I never really take anything serious until like I see it in front of me when it comes to horror movies. Like when they were talking about the Ash versus the Evil Dead television series, I was like, yeah, we'll see it when it happens. And it happened and it was awesome and I really loved it. But you know, I believe this. I think it's actually going to be happening, and maybe because of this shutdown and everything like that, there's a lot of things that are coming to streaming services and TV and television stations because they're wanting the content because the theaters are shut down. So now we're kind of reverting back to 50, 60 years ago when TV was king, and the theater didn't draw them away from it, and well, vice versa. So first it was the theaters, and they went to the TV, and then the TV was competing with the theaters and back and forth.
It's like a cycle.
It is, yeah. And right now it's streaming services and TV's getting into the game with that. That's why we have Justice League the Snyder Cut. That probably wouldn't have happened other than this shutdown. And they're like, we need content. What do? We need, something that's going to be ready. And so I think, yeah, I'm really excited for the Child's Play one, especially because it's Don Mancini, who was the original writer and director on some of them. And he's done such a great job with the movies. I remember the most recent movie of Child's Play was not connected in any way. And I haven't seen it, but I'm still interested in watching it. But Don Mancini was not interested in doing that. That wasn't his remake, wasn't his thing. So I'm really excited that hopefully Brad Dourif is back, who does the voice of Chucky, and then Jennifer Tilly that does Tiffany, I think. So hopefully their story does keep going, because I really like the last couple, like Cult of Chucky and Seed of Chucky and things like that. Those are such cool movies. So that's a really good little bit of news there, Mariana Chipanetta.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I don't really. I mean, I watch a lot of different movies and a lot of different TV shows, but at the end of the day, it's not something that I like. I don't binge watch things, and so this is something that I'm really excited to kind of get into more so than shows that I've seen come out recently. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Something that like kind of tugs at our heartstrings, as it were, and you're like, oh, I didn't care about anything else that was going on, but suddenly there's this really cool TV show that's going on. Yes, I agree. Mariana.
Joe, what you got next?
Well, what I got next is something that's been kind of in the news for the last 3 or 4 years. So you had the whole X-Men movie franchise, right? With Hugh Jackman, that ripped stud of a man running around as Wolverine with his claws and everything of that nature. They were starting to branch off right before this whole kind of merger with Disney and Fox was kind of, I enjoyed the X-Men films, but none of them really made too much sense connecting. They were like, continuity, what's that? I don't know and I don't care. And they would just like write the next one. You're like, okay, well, you just had to buy in that continuity didn't really mean anything at some point.
But in a sense, that's really great, right? Like you have like the Marvel movies where when you're watching them, a lot of the Avengers like franchise, if you haven't seen, like you're not going to get all of it if you haven't seen like the previous ones. Whereas with X-Men, because there's no continuity, you could just start at any movie and be fine.
I agree with you. And I kind of like, put that part of me away as far as continuity. Like I think 5 movies ago, maybe back in X-Men Origins Wolverine, I was like, screw it all, whatever, let's have fun, right? And then so each movie comes out and it was just a good time. Hugh Jackman was there, so maybe that was their little tie-in, usually. But they were starting to split off and they were doing New Mutants, which was a really cool comic book back in the 80s, and it's kind of showing up here and there throughout the 90s and through the present day. And that's always been kind of more of a horror vibe sort of comic book. And so they're like, well, what if we took X-Men and kind of did a horror movie with it? And so the New Mutants was supposed to come out a few years ago in the theater. It was done. But for some reason, Sony pushed it back. And then it was supposed to come out again. And then that got stopped because of the Disney merging deal with Sony. And they're like, well, let's hold off on this property. And then finally, I think a couple months ago, the director said, oh, and they were talking about doing reshoots. They're like, well, we have to reshoot this because it didn't test well. And that's what movies do. But finally, the director said a couple months ago, actually, we're coming out with it, and this is going to be my original vision. We're not doing any of those reshoots, or at least we're not using that footage of the reshoots. And I don't know how it's going to come out, probably on Disney Plus, I bet. But I'm pretty excited for the New Mutants because it looks like a pretty cool horror film / mutant / superhero kind of craziness. So there was a new trailer for that, and that kind of gives me hope. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see that soon. And I have Disney Plus. I steal that very, trustfully and I don't know what's all the good words, from my brother, legally, as it were. So I am 2 degrees away from my Disney Plus. It is there. So don't blame me. Don't judge me, folks. I have Disney Plus, and I can see New Mutants. So that's all I'm worried about. Mariana, if you were to watch a X-Men film, what sort of delightful, culturally enriching food dish might you prepare for it? And it doesn't have to be Italian, because I know you're a very worldly galley gal, and you know so much. I mean, you might not know this, folks, from just looking at this beautiful mug over here. And I don't mean mine. I'm talking about Mariana's. You might not know this, but she is fluent in more languages than I even know. She's always popping out something. She knows Spanish, French, Italian, English. I hardly got English down, and she's got 4 other ones down somewhere back there. So Mariana, she is such a worldly rich person, very cultural. What would you recommend as far as food goes for an X-Men film?
For an X-Men film.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of, I feel like you'd go with something that you can, since there is no continuity in the movies. If you're sitting down and just watching one, which one's the one where like most of it is set in the 70s?
Days of the Future Past, I think.
That one. I think you should have a meatloaf with that one.
Oh, that's a good call. So, like, if you're watching
meatloaf and cornbread.
Yeah, then you'd have to have some sort of tacky yellow wallpaper or something.
Yeah. Wear bell-bottom jeans.
Yeah, some shade.
You can't get the experience without the bell-bottom jeans.
I would suggest leave the free love out of it, because VD is not a good thing, folks.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, keep everything she said, keep the free love out of it, because you don't want VD with your X-Men. And that's your
you don't want VD with your X-Men. That should be our tagline.
Okay, well, that's the New Mutants. Mariana, what else do we have in the news? What do you got for me? What do you got?
Well, I saw a really cool trailer today. One of my favorite genres or subgenres of horror is creature features. And I saw this one for Monstrous. It's a Sasquatch movie.
I love Sasquatch.
Basically, this girl, she goes out to what is it, Whitehall? Yeah, Whitehall, New York, because her friend goes missing, and so she has to go she goes in search of her friend. And at some point, she teams up with another gal, a more badass gal named Alex, who's there for unknown suspicious reasons. And they end up going out to search for this friend, but they start to realize that there is something else in the woods, something unexpected. We know what it is because it's on the cover and it's in the trailer. But what was really cool is that, like, with how far CGI has come and everything, and I don't know exactly how true to the cover art or to some of the CGI in the trailer it's going to be, but the character creation of the Sasquatch is really captivating, and it actually kind of reminded me of the drawing done in Harry and the Hendersons of the like kind of like evil looking Sasquatch, but like furrier. So I'm kind of, Bruce Wemple does the directing on that. And like I said, it looks like it's going to be, it kind of reminds me of Cursed in a sense. I don't know if you ever saw that werewolf movie.
The Wes Craven one.
Just the aesthetic of it.
Oh, okay.
More than anything. But it looks super cool to me.
So was it a CGI like Sasquatch on the trailer?
It looks like, yeah. I mean, nowadays.
What's interesting, guess I haven't seen. I mean, I'm not entirely opposed to CGI, so it'd be interesting to see what else that they could possibly, use for an artistic vision to create a Sasquatch with it. So
I mean, it looks so realistic. Like I said, nowadays CGI has come such a long way that you've got so much detail in like the fur and everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. So that's called Monstrous, yeah?
Monstrous.
Oh, Well, that's cool. I always love a little bit of Sasquatch news, as it were. You know, I was talking to a friend the other day, little texting, because I had this like kind of brilliant, this revelation of this sorts. So, you know, there's all these different theories as to what Sasquatch is, right? I mean, it's not, maybe he's the missing link, maybe he is this interdimensional traveler of sorts, and that's why you never see him. I think we talked about that quite a bit ago on a different episode. And so
I think that was our very first
that
episode.
was the very first, and they'll move in between dimensions like that, right? Like that's why they were like, blip, here's a Sasquatch, blip, here's a Sasquatch, blip. And so they keep doing that, and that's why you never really see it, because they move around like that. Well, boy, did I have a theory the other day, a hypothesis, if you will. Okay? What if, follow me here, Sasquatches were actually were-squatches? What if they were a beast that infected human beings, and so they would bite you or scratch you? And so during certain rotations of the moon or the earth and the waves and all that stuff, a person actually turns into a Sasquatch. And that's why you don't always see Sasquatches around other than certain times, because it's a person turning into Bigfoot. Think about that.
That actually makes a tremendous amount of sense.
Right? And that's why they call me a genius.
Yes, that's what we call you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what my mom says. Boy, I'm sorry I dropped you on your head. But I think that knocked around something. That made some smarts loosened up in here, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, well, I got one other thing here I'm going to bring up. Do you have any other news bits?
Yeah, I'll go after you.
Okay, well, I got just a little bit of news, and I don't have too much to talk about it. As people know, I tend to ramble a little bit, so I'll try not to ramble too much on this one. So, growing up, I would occasionally get cable. So we would usually have 3 channels, but once in a while, my parents would spring for cable for a couple months, you know. But cable cost quite a lot back then, especially because we were super poor. So, but once in a while, we would get cable for a month or two, and we would have Nickelodeon and Nick at Night. And boy, were those good months to have Nickelodeon and have cable. And so one of the great shows growing up was Are You Afraid of the Dark, which was on Nick at Night. And it was an anthology show that each episode, this group of kids would get together and they would tell scary stories around a fireplace, and then you would see the scary story. And some of them were actually still pretty scary. You can see them on YouTube right now. But recently there was a reboot, and I didn't get a chance to watch it because I don't have cable now. Maybe I don't.
Isn't that weird? Like,
yeah, right?
You were always like, I want cable when you're young, and now there's so many streaming services that you're like, I don't need cable.
Except I wanted it for this one thing. And they had Are You Afraid of the Dark? It came out as a 3-part series. So, and now apparently it's coming out next month on Blu-ray and DVD. So I'm very excited for that. I don't have too much to say. I already spilled all my childhood dreams a second ago, but I'm excited for that Blu-ray, so keep an eye out on Are You Afraid of the Dark next month. Mariana Chipoletta.
Yes, it
If you were to sit around a campfire, what sort of drinky drink might you drink while you were telling a ghost story?
I would say actually, and we're not being sponsored by this. I'm just genuinely enjoying.
I wish
this beer is by Left Handed Brewing Company, and it's the Milk Stout Nitro.
Oh yeah,
and it is delicious. And I think it's the perfect beer for telling campfire stories and scary stories.
Well, I'll have to get some of that next time we're sitting around a campfire, Mariana Chipoletta, which I think might be next weekend, right? So you're coming over. We're going to we got a lot of research to do, folks. First,
I'm making the fire this time, by the way. I'll build the fire.
You're more manly than me. I think we've established that. Yes, and I did not do a great job building the fire last time.
You just piled all the wood and then threw the fire at it.
This is my feature. Yeah, so Mariana will be doing all the heavy lifting and the man, and I'll be sitting there looking pretty and just yapping away my jaw like I usually
Drinking
do.
your White Claw.
So we're going. So what I say we're doing? Yeah, we're going to tell ghost stories around the fire. Yeah, and drink some of that beer and drink my White Claw. Yeah. Okay. Last bit of news. This is coming from the better looking of the two of us. No,
So
I'm just joking. It's coming from Mariana.
It's not so much news as someone that I recently discovered from my homeland. Wonderful, wonderful director of shorts. His name is Andrea Ricca, and he shared with me this short called Amulet of Fear. It's a tribute to Stephen King, and in the short, you see the character reading from the book The Creature. And I thought that was a really cool, like, little insertion there. It's only about 5 minutes long. All of the films on his YouTube channel are amazing. Andrea Ricca, sci-fi and horror shorts. Look it up. Basically, this woman finds this amulet. The amulet brings this creature to life. The really cool part about it, I don't want to give too much away, it's a short, I can't really like give you the plot. But the really cool part about it is that you have this sense that this woman has dealt with this kind of thing before, but she is still triggered by the things that happen to her. So she sort of knows what to do, but at the same time, she doesn't know how to complete the cycle. That's all I'm gonna say without giving anything away. It's really great because like you get everything you need without dialogue. There's no dialogue. All you have is some noises, and you have just the acting, and it's just pure, and it's really wonderful. I really enjoyed watching it. It was great, like a little 5 minutes of my day. And so now, like during my breaks and stuff, I go to the site and I try to like look up a new one, or I'll try to like go on his website. It is in Italian and in English, so you know it's not gonna be like a terrible experience for you to go and visit the website. And I was so excited by the short, and just it's like it's what you want in a short. You don't want too much given to you because you want to let your imagination kind of wonder about that world, right? And I think he does a really wonderful job of kind of like creating that continuity within the story itself, and then also kind of keeping you on edge. And at the end, you're like, but wait, I want more. Like, I want to know what happens, or like how this story continues. So I think, I think that everyone should go check it out because it's really awesome. And Andrea, grazie mille. I really appreciated you sharing that with us, and I can't wait to watch more of them.
We'll put the link down in the below bottom part here. I'm really excited to watch those too because Mariana did such a great job explaining that without giving away any spoilers. That is really incredible. All right, well, I guess that's up in the news right now. We're going to be back with you in a few days with an interview with a really creative, cool person. I'm not going to give it away right now, and we hope to see you again. Mariana Chipoletta, could you please say something in French to send our folks off?
Okay. Je prends plus de ton tête.
I'm not sure if I think that's a good thing. What does that mean, Mariana?
It literally means you fart higher than your head, which just means that you're very confident.
You know what? You're not entirely wrong, so I accept it. All right, everybody. Well, that's a little bit of foreign culture for you right there. So thanks for joining us on What Is This Podcast again, Mariana Chipoletta.
This is the podcast No Country for Joe and Mariana.
Yes,
Keep watching.
Keep watching and subscribe right now if you want to see more good stuff. We come out twice a week. We have a lot of fun around here. And also keep your eyes peeled for Specimen 6, which will be out in just a few weeks. All right. Goodbye, everybody.